Sup, y'all? It's me. It's your boy Asmongold, and welcome to This Week in Warcraft. Now, obviously, it's been a really big week. We've gotten patch 7.2.5 last Tuesday, and we're on the eve of the new raid releasing Tomb of Sargeras coming out tomorrow, June 20th. I'm actually really hyped for Tomb of Sargeras. I'll be completely honest. I really want to see what's going to happen in the Kil'Jaeden fight. I think it's going to set the stage for the entire rest of the expansion, and maybe the next one on top of that. So I really want to see what's going to happen after that. But today, I want to talk to you guys about everything that happened in the previous week, patch notes, community events, everything else in between, my adventures, all of that kind of stuff I want to let you guys know. Now, the first thing is, of course, with patch 7.2.5, they came out with a lot of class tuning to make sure that the classes are ready for the new raid. And as a lot of you guys know, all of the realms have been renamed to a PTR, which means that the first iteration is what we saw in the live servers, and the PTRs, I don't know what those are for anymore. So we've seen a lot of iterations on top of the initial iteration that we got in patch 7.2.5. I've said iteration too many times. But at this point, I think that we're at a pretty finalized stage. They posted a couple of hotfixes and changes that are going to be coming out on the day of the raid releasing, and most of those are just very small number tuning changes, but there are a few set bonus changes, like I believe the Arms Warrior set bonus is getting nerfed by like legit 50% or something like that. So it's very big. I don't know how they didn't catch that on the PTR, but again, I guess that's what we're for. So obviously this is a very good thing for me. Warriors did get buffed, which was amazing. I was very happy about that, and especially in regards to PvP. And speaking of PvP, Brian Holinka, I made a video about this, but Brian Holinka, who was the lead PvP game designer, has left the World of Warcraft team to work on another unannounced project at Blizzard. And I don't know if it's an unannounced project, but he's working somewhere else. He's not working on WoW anymore. A lot of people are happy, some people are sad. I don't know where this is going to take us. I made a whole video about it, but long story short, I don't have a crystal ball. I'm not Nostradamus. I have no idea where this is going to go. But one good thing that Holinka did do is that he did buff warriors, and they turned out to be really good. Remember, the patch came out so good that they were actually one-shotting rank 1 gladiator healers. It was really good. I felt like the game was finally balanced, and I want to make that emphasis right here, guys, is that I really do believe that the more that my class is overpowered, the more I feel like the game is balanced. And Holinka definitely did deserve that as a going away present. Thank you very much, Holinka. I really do appreciate it, but apparently they're nerfing warriors like 8 times or something like that ever since the patch came out, so we'll see where that goes. On top of that, another PvP change is that the weekly events. So like the way that it used to work is that if you won 10 games in 2v2, in 3v3, or in rated battlegrounds, you were to receive a certain item, and the item level of that item was correlated to your highest arena or RBG rating from the previous week. Well, they've changed that, and I'm actually very glad about that, but the change I'm not too big of a fan of. Now, the change that's been made is that instead of having to do 10 wins for now you have to get 1,500 honor from that different bracket. So whenever you do 10 wins, it takes longer to get 1,500 honor than it takes to get 10 wins. So if you get 10 wins, you don't get 1,500 honor. Now, the reason I think this is a good change in a way is that it incentivizes people playing, and it doesn't punish them as much for losing. And so people can feel like they're still working towards an end, and all of their time isn't wasting going into a game that goes into 30% dampening and then getting nothing out of it. The bad thing is that, of course, it makes it harder for people to actually obtain that gear without necessarily making that gear any better. So I'm not really sure entirely how that's going to go, but for the most part, I hope that it definitely does get a little bit better, and maybe they could nerf that honor requirement down to about 1,000, but that's just my personal opinion. On top of that, another developer that I want to talk about is Celestalon. Now, as a lot of you guys know, Celestalon has not necessarily been the most well-liked developer. I don't really have a personal opinion on him, but a lot of people don't like him because he said he played WoW with the trackball, and apparently there was a big deal with like Celestalon and Feral Druids, and a big argument between those two. I'm not really sure where that's going to go, but personally, I just wanted to give you guys my input on this, is that I do feel like developers could, in one way or another, make themselves more available for community feedback, and I think at the same time, I think the community could do a lot better job at curating and facilitating that feedback to the developers. So hopefully that'll happen, and hopefully we won't have as much friction and frustration between both developers and also the community. Now, on top of that, there are a lot of very, very minor changes that happen with patch 7.2.5, and I'm going to go over a number of those right now before I forget. Now, number one, the most important change is there's a level 60 raid called Blackwing Lair. The first boss was kind of annoying to do, but now he's even easier. Now, Razorgore the Untamed, which is the first boss, what you can do now is instead of casting basically you have to like mind control Razorgore and then take him over to the different eggs and blow up the eggs by using a castable button. Now, previously that castable button was a 3-second cast, and they've reduced that to an instant cast, and the button has no cooldown, which means that you're able to clear all of the eggs in one mind control phase, and it definitely makes it to where you don't have to worry about Razorgore getting killed, and it just makes the fight a whole lot easier. So props for Blizzard. Thank God they've done that. It's been about like 3 years too late, but I'm happy that it's happened. On top of that, Blood of Sargeras and Order Hall resources do have another way that they interact. Now, before this, you were still able to buy Order Hall resources with Bloods of Sargeras, but before now, there was no way that you could really use your Order Hall resources for really anything. So what they changed is they're allowing you to buy 5 Bloods of Sargeras for 5,000 Order Hall resources. Now, I think this is good. There are a lot of people that have upwards of maybe 300,000, 500,000, or closer to 1 million Order Hall resources just sitting around, so this can give them one different way to use those Order Hall resources in, I guess kind of a useful way, because they can sell the Bloods of Sargeras or sell things that they make with the Bloods of Sargeras. On top of that, Shaw of Anger, which is a world boss from Mists of Pandaria, has been a lot of people have been complaining about this right before this patch, because Shaw of Anger had a number of different spawn locations inside Kunlai Summit, and Shaw of Anger, of course, is a level 90 boss, so it was killed in maybe 5 seconds or so. So if you weren't standing at the correct spawn location, flying over to it and killing the boss before somebody else one-shot it was getting increasingly harder because people were getting better gear. So what Blizzard changed is they made Shaw of Anger only spawn in one specific location, which I think was a very, very good change, and I also believe they reduced the spawn rate, or not reduced it, but increased the frequency in which he spawns. So I think that's also a very, very good thing, and it makes it easier and significantly less frustrating to farm the Heavenly Onyx Cloud Serpent, which is a mount that he has a 1 in 2,000 chance of dropping. So on top of that, there are these fishing bobbers that you were able to fish up in the open sea and open water fishing in the Broken Isles. I believe that there's 4 of them. There was a Murloc head, a can of worms, and there were 2 other ones as well. I think a tugboat. And these different fishing bobbers were extremely rare. Patch 7.2.5 increased the drop rate of those like astronomically. I farmed out all 4 of them in less than an hour, whereas previously I think that you'd be lucky if you got one if you farmed all day. So definitely a very, very good change there. Maybe they went a little bit too overboard with making them too easy to get, but either way, I've got them, so if they nerf it now, I don't really care. On top of that, Gorefiend, not Gorefiend in Black Temple, but Gorefiend in Hellfire Citadel is now soloable, which makes, I believe, everything, maybe Fellord Zakuun still has a problem with like the phase thing where he banishes you, but Gorefiend in Hellfire Citadel is now soloable because he no longer puts the Shadow of Death debuff on one player if there's only, I believe, one player present in the encounter. So that makes it a little bit easier to farm Hellfire Citadel for transmog or for pets or for whatever other reason. So there were a number of things that were added in. On top of that, one thing that was accidentally added in was, I don't know if I'm saying this name right, Elysia? It was a reputation, it was a fishing reputation very similar to Margos, Conjurer Margos, in a little island outside of Dalaran. It was an NPC that was accidentally added into the game, and apparently there are going to be a number of other NPCs that are similar to that, that have a similar rep structure, like Conjurer Margos, and she was accidentally added into the game. People started farming rep for her, and then they took her out of the game. So I'm not really sure entirely if this was a good decision or not, taking her out of the game, but I don't really think it's a big deal either way, to be completely honest. Now, the WoW Secrets Discord has been I guess like the genesis, or the place where place of conception for a lot of the different cool things that have happened and have been discovered in Legion. We've got the Cosmoth mount, we've got, I believe, also the long forgotten Hippogriff, and now we have a third thing, and no, also the Riddler's Time Worm, which is the mount that was added, I think it was like in 7.2, that people discovered on that Discord, and now they discovered the Sun Darter Hatchling, which is something that you can go into Winter Spring. There's a certain cave, and if you use a certain type of reagents, and there's a huge long list of things that you have to do. I have no fucking idea how people figured this stuff out, but I'm assuming a disturbing amount of trial and error. Like, that's honestly what I'm assuming happened, and maybe a couple of pointers in the right direction by a nice developer. But either way, the Sun Darter Hatchling was discovered. There's a post on Wowhead that's very easy to follow, exactly what you need to do to get it, and so I've got it on the screen, and on top of that, I'll have a link to it in the video description below. Very awesome. Very glad that that's going to be happening. Also, as a lot of you guys know, Mythic Plus was changed this week. That means that pretty much all of the Mythic Plus dungeons they're harder and they give less loot. Okay, let's be real. But they will give better loot next week. Now, whenever next week comes out, and I'm not talking about this Tuesday, right? I'm not talking about tomorrow, but I'm talking about the Tuesday after tomorrow. So, what would it be? June 27th. On June 27th, Mythic Tomb of Sargeras comes out. That's when all the Mythic Plus loot and the Mythic Plus rewards are scaled up. So don't worry about completing a Mythic Plus 15 this week. That means like today. But make sure that you have one completed for next week, for the 27th or 28th, depending on where you live, because that's actually whenever the rewards are going to be increased, and you're going to get a better item in your Mythic Plus cache. And that's also whenever the rewards for doing a Mythic Plus 11 up to a Mythic Plus 15 are going to be added into the game as well, because they currently are not present. So anyway, guys, for me personally, I forgot to say one thing. They added heirlooms into the game for patch 7.2.5. So if you ever felt like replacing your Ashbringer with our Arcanite Reaper, you can go ahead and do that. So I just wanted to add that in. On top of that, I had a number of very interesting things happen this week. For one, I got the Void Talon of the Darkstar, and by I mean I had a very wonderful, excellent, great, gracious, just a great guy. Just a wonderful, great guy named Craze who told me that there was a portal up, and he invited me over to his server, and I was able to get the Void Talon. And so thank you very much, Craze, for making that happen. I really appreciate it, dude. I've wanted that mount for a very long time. On top of that, as a lot of you guys know, I've been making an alt group in my guild. That alt group is in the process of killing Mythic Gul'dan. They have not quite done that yet, but we did end up getting the Cutting Edge achievement for Hell Yeah. Not really a big deal, but it was something nice for everybody. Just in case we don't actually get down Gul'dan, they'll at least have some level of a consolation prize. I finished the Wailing Caverns pet battle, finally. I know it might seem kind of crazy because I made a video about it the first day it came out on the PTR, but I actually did do it. I had a pretty good time doing it again, and I ended up getting both pets in the bag on my first try. I don't know if that's supposed to happen, but it did, and I'm pretty happy. Apparently, that's like worth 30 or 40,000 gold. So it's awesome. I also went and I did the Dead Mines pet battle scenario. It was significantly easier than the Wailing Caverns one from my perspective, but it was also very fun, very engaging, and I had a good time doing it. I completed the Chromie scenario on my Warrior and on my Warlock. It was actually really funny. Right, it was really funny, because like on my Warrior, I'm just busting my ass, trying as hard as I can. On my Warlock, I'm not even looking at the screen, and I'm completing it faster than my Warrior. I felt like I was an idiot playing it on my Warrior. Like my Warlock, I'm healing up, killing everything, and it's no big deal. Like, I completed it my first time. It was the second time, actually. I let Chromie die the first time. But the second time, so that was cool. I was happy about that. I got the transmog on both characters. Really awesome thing. Also, shout out to a buddy of mine, McConnell Retz. He and I, as a lot of you guys know, I got Tusk of Manaroth last year, and ever since then, on a pretty regular basis, he and I have been going back into Siege of Orgrimmar with a lot of people, and we ran in there and we tried to get Tusk of Manaroth for him. And they finally dropped, and we finally had another gracious, wonderful, amazing, just a great guy, someone named Wargy, very great guy, Wargren Warrior, ended up getting the Tusk of Manaroth and ended up giving them to McConnell Retz. So congratulations, McConnell, on the Tusk of Manaroth. We did it. So anyway, guys, that's pretty much it for today. This week has obviously been like really, really interesting for me personally, and also just for the game as a whole. I think a lot of really great things have happened this week. I'm very happy with the way that kind of the patch 7.2.5 has turned out. And for the most part, I'm really looking forward to Tomb of Sargeras. So anyway, guys, if I missed anything, go ahead and let me know. If you guys did anything cool this weekend, or not weekend, this whole week, go ahead and let me know that too. And that's pretty much all I've got. So thank you very much for watching, and like, comment, and subscribe.